So I was on the podcast on Tuesday and I made reference to the fact that I felt like one of these foremen at a dangerous work site who has to put, the sign up 0 days since last death or something like that. Except with me, it's number of days since I've had to criticise Rachel Reeves. And I managed to get up to 2 days this time, and we're going back to 0.
Some would say your criticism is why she's crying. She just wants your approval.
Should really count it in hours, if anything.
Yes. It would. I'd get up to slightly more impressive numbers than that. I also made the comment on Tuesday's podcast that she's clearly out of her depth and she needs to be doing something a bit more her speed. And I suggested at the time maybe running the finances through a bathroom fitters in Dagenham or something. And after yesterday's performance...
What about doing the dishes?
Well, all that, yes. I mean, I don't know if she's childless or not. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Running a school cafeteria.
Well, I think the Dagenham bathroom fitter's job is out of her league now after her screw up yesterday. But maybe she could manage the finances for one of those little kiosks that pull up and serve sausage rolls or something like that. That she might still be able to get that because yesterday, before I come to the lovely clip of her breaking down in tears in Parliament, I'm sort of sat there and because I've got my portfolio set up to give me an alert if it goes through certain boundaries, and I looked at it and I thought, oh bloody hell, what's happened here? As the Fed cut rates or something, as a new Federal Reserve chairman been appointed or something like that. And it's just that I've got American stocks and the pound tanked so much, causing stuff to relatively go up. But what it was is during PMQs yesterday. Let's play the video, Samson. She managed to completely break down in tears and start crying, sending market into turmoil. There she is, breaking down in tears. Just to be clear, she's crying for herself. She's not crying for you or all the people that...
her career.
Yes.
It's tears for her career. And it's so performative. If you get a tear that runs down your cheek, you wipe it away or it tickles. You don't just leave it like rolling down, or unless you want everyone to see.
Well, maybe right. It's got to. I mean, did you see her face? I mean, she looked like she's been on an all-night bender. I mean, she looks like she hasn't slept for a month or something like that.
Haggard AF. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There were efforts made by containment media to try and suggest, it could just, let's play this. Let's listen to the excuses.
And we do not know what is going on with the Chancellor right now.
There are hay fever.
There may be personal reasons. There might be private reasons. There might be conditions like hay fever. To be honest, to let you into the sausage factory, Jane, we are asking her team. We have not had a reply.
I mean, no, I get hay fever, and it's caused by trees. It's not caused by being utterly incompetent at my job and ruining the economy. So that doesn't trigger hay fever.
Like she had the snuffles.
No.
And I get hay fever. I had it yesterday, in fact. And your
eyes out, you were.
Yeah, like your eyes itch, and at the very worst, they might water a bit, but you don't stream tears. Well, okay, in extreme cases you do, but that obviously, what was happening to her clearly wasn't a hay fever reaction.
Well, and it's not just her. I mean, look at the state of the women on the front bench. I mean, just look at this.
They do look like they're hanging.
They look like the HR department of a university that's just been out on the sauce all night. And haven't slept, and they're coming for an important meeting or something. Trying to hold it. I mean, the underlying problem is this. As Sam Ashworth Hayes makes the point here, it's that Labour is the party of the workless class. Disability benefits is basically an honesty box. I mean, especially after COVID. I mean, that was the huge spike in this. Doctors signed off on basically anything during COVID. So loads of people thought, well, if they're going to pay people to sit around and not work, why don't I just do this full time then? Why don't I just go and get myself signed off? And you've got 8% of the working population is now just claiming disability benefits. So, this can't add up. And they made various promises in their manifesto that they weren't going to raise taxes, and then immediately raised taxes. They ideologically just can't cut the state. In fact, they have to keep on growing it until the NHS consumes the entire local cluster. They just can't hold themselves back, and these sums aren't adding up anymore. Thus, the climb downs and the U-turns they made yesterday. Morgan weighed in on this, making the point that if a male chancellor had cried in the Commons, and the other story was that it was because of a row with the speaker. I won't play the clip of the row with the speaker, but he was incredibly mild. She was just waffling on, and he just stood up and cut her off and said. Basically, we need to get through this, or something like that. sort of stuff that Carl says every time he's on the podcast. You know, we just got to get through this in the interest of time. It was as mild as that, and so that was the excuse. I mean, she looks like
the face my daughter pulls when I tell her she can't have extra chocolate past bedtime.
Yes. How old is your daughter?
18 months.
Right. Probably not
That's the exact face.
Probably not. I would suggest that your daughter and Rachel Reeves are unsuitable candidates to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Well, I don't know. You've not given her a go.
I mean, she can't be any worse. She can't be any worse than Rachel, but you know, all the same, not necessarily. This chap is making the point that, you know, as chaps, we do have a sort of visceral reaction to seeing a woman cry. The first instinct might be sympathy.
And not these people. I don't see politicians as people anyway. So
yes, my view is that no matter how woeful she feels, it is nowhere near as close as to how she made all those farmers and business owners. I think the latest figure shows 276,000 jobs have been lost since her budget, where she raised the taxes on jobs. Yeah, no, that and you can look at the chart of net job creation, and basically it's blue bars until her last budget, when she put the taxes up on jobs and employers' national insurance, and after that, immediately red bars, and the red bars keep getting bigger every month. So at last count, we're up to 276,000 jobs lost as a result of her last budget when she increased taxes on jobs. Not to mention, the farmer suicides, because Labour came into office and they just thought, well, farmers are sitting on land worth millions. Not that they ever asked for it to be worth millions. They've been farming it for multiple generations, and it's just that the price of the land has gone up completely outside of their control. But Labour came in and they saw these farmers got all this land which is worth millions. Well, if they got millions, we'll take it off them then.
Yeah, they see even hypothetical money as money that is owed to the government.
And ideologically, these people are essentially kulaks.
Yes.
And commies don't like kulaks.
Yes.
They're the type that are likely to not go along with the revolution.
Yes. Yeah, quite. And this poor chap on the right, I mean, been farming for generations, wanting to pass this farm on to his son, was looking at Rachel Reeves' budget coming and how it was going to hit farmers, and he thought, well, we can't afford this. Farming is a capital-intensive business. Just because your land is now, in the last few decades, has shot up, does not mean that you suddenly get more capital to invest in the business. It's locked up in the land. You literally need the land to farm. And he was looking at it, he was like, well, the only way that I can protect my family, I can protect my legacy, is to go out before the budget hits. And so he did the only thing that he felt he could, which was to basically finish himself so that his farm could move on before the budget. I mean, that is the... of the many things that Rachel Reeves has screwed up through incompetence, greed, and all the rest of it.
And there's the other aspect of it as well, which is if they do end up having to sell up the land so that they can afford the enormous bill that you get just for dying. Sorry, you've died, your kids are going to have tens, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds to pay that they don't have in liquid assets, so they're going to have to sell things up. Well, who's going to buy it up? Well, it was probably going to be BlackRock and other massive investment firms, so that they can give it off to New Britain, so that massive industrial farms can be made and hire
the Rhodesian option. Yeah, we just take it off the people who actually know how to farm. Magically it will be okay somehow, and then it's not. It's worth remembering, what the London intelligence and the media classes were telling us about, this incoming Labour government. Let's see if we can play this.
Sources of optimism, because I completely agree with the questionnaire. We have sources of optimism, because I completely agree with the questionnaire. We have to be optimistic looking forward. I think just having a stable government that will be there for 5, maybe 10 years, who knows, but with sort of ordinary, down-to-earth, serious people talking like the rest of us in charge of the government, and a plan that doesn't shift very much for investment, is going to mean a wall of money coming into this country from around the world. You look at the chaos going on the continent, particularly in France. You look at the chaos likely ahead in the United States. And suddenly, for once, for the first time in many of our lives, actually Britain looks like a little haven of peace and stability. And that...
Well, there we go.
Andrew Marr is an idiot and a douchebag and a wolf in sheep's clothing and a globalist.
Yes.
Pretending that he's some sort of reasonable,
you wrote
grown-up
books on English history, don't you know?
But you get the expectation. We're going to be an island of stability. Inward investment is going to soar. Sensible people in charge, maintaining calm.
I made the point yesterday on the podcast that the international and financial markets are basically a confidence game. You need to project confidence internationally so that investors can think there's going to be stability, so they invest and bring money in. Like, that's not confidence. The international markets see that and they go like, well, I'm taking my money elsewhere.
I mean, they're redesigning the banknotes at the moment, as they tend to do periodically. I mean, this has been suggested as possible design for the £20 note. I mean, it just sums up the UK economy at this point, beautifully. This,
I've been there.
Getting the job versus actually doing the job. Remember the message when she came in? First female chancellor. Now, I think the idea is something like little girls get to grow up seeing that one of their own gender can screw up a job that was traditionally done by men, and that's supposed to inspire them somehow. So yeah, I forget the exact logic, but
is this Iron Lady 2 behaviour?
Not entirely, is it? No.
I mean, what did she expect? Your Chancellor of the Exchequer in the world's 5th biggest economy or whatever, 8th biggest economy or whatever. Yeah, it's a really, really important, high-powered job. Yeah, it's going to be super stressful and it will age you beyond your years. Yeah.
Yes, it's a difficult job.
Yeah.
But they didn't think in those terms. They just think, yeah, I got the job.
I'm the first one.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no problem.
Put a picture of a commie up in the office.
Yes.
Main thing.
Stephen, who was going to be on the podcast, who can't make it, he has relevant points that he made all the way back in January. Let's go to 249, I think, somewhere around there.
I love that back in. Yeah, you've got to look at the way that she has come in. She has seemed erratic to me in many ways in some of these statements that she's coming. But really, when she's turning around and saying that she's got the whole of the economy set, that public finances are set, and yet she's got worse debt figures coming in.
Yes.
The markets have risen interest rates to a higher level than that of Liz Truss. And we've already seen markets fall. We've got the AIM market now collapsing by another 6%. Companies relisting in other countries, and business people turning around and saying this is only the start, with sterling falling too. So
yeah, I mean, he's absolutely right. I mean, talking about businesses relocating, I mean, he's talking there about smaller businesses, AIM businesses relocating. But we just found out today that AstraZeneca, the largest company in the UK stock market, wants to relocate to the US. We did all lockdowns for them, and they said thank you very much. Now we're off to the US.
Well, but also let's not think we did lockdowns to save Granny, and now Labour's voted to kill Granny.
Well, that was the purported reason why we did it.
Actually, they voted in multiple ways to kill Granny.
Oh yeah, they're going to get Granny one way or another.
Yeah, no farms to feed them.
Yes.
No electricity to keep them warm during winter. And now, if it all just gets a bit too much for them, the NHS will.
Yeah, if they dial the wrong number when they try and contact the GP, you've been put through to the
they'll just send
accelerated
death squads through the
death
door.
Squad. Yeah. This is the sort of point I was referencing when I sort of got my alert earlier. I mean, the effect. So, you made the point just now that Chancellor needs to project confidence. And look, fundamentally, the reason is, and actually, there was a brilliant quote from an MP, a Labour MP. It was overheard, and it was, "I don't understand why this means tax rises." Talking about the U-turns on the spending bill, what they're doing. "I don't understand why this means tax rises when it's only a few £billion." That's how MPs think. Well, you can see the result there of the pound, which sort of immediately tanked after this. And the other thing you always say, and you've seen it on Twitter with lefties basically making the point, well, why should we have to care what the bond market thinks? Why are we being hot to the bond market? I'll tell you the reason why we're hot to the bond market is because we're borrowing $25 billion a month from them. Mm-hmm. That's why. Yeah. You cannot fund this government with this socialist program without going to the bond market for $25 billion every month. I mean, put it this way: if you were running your household and you were earning, whatever it was, £100 a week, but you're spending £125 a week, and some bloke down the street was lending you the difference, what the bloke down the street thinks matters. And to put this again in bond market terms, what the bloke down the street is looking for is that you have a plan. that you have some level of confidence that he's going to get his 25 quid a week paid back at some future point. He doesn't necessarily have to love your plan. He doesn't have to think it's the plan that he would do, but he wants to see that you have a plan for how you're going to get back on your feet. Yeah. And that requires, to your point, the confidence. If she has a plan and she's acting on it, fine. If she's losing her shit in Parliament, clearly there's no plan. It's all got away from her. And that face earlier was the face of somebody who has lost control of the situation.
Of herself. Don't cry in Parliament.
No.
Sorry, don't do that. You don't do that.
Especially not in this role.
Like on the front bench during PMQs. It's all performative. Now, if you really need to have a little grizzle, love, go do it in your private office when there's no cameras on you. You're supposed to be the Chancellor of the Exchequer, for God's sake.
Yeah, like the rest of us. Go cry in private.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But I mean, especially for the job like the Chancellor.
You're supposed to be a bulwark of, like, strength, right? You're supposed to be this, like, indomitable, like, money master. You're supposed to be like a genius, an unflappable genius, right? That's what a chancellor you want in a chancellor, right?
Well, I mean, again, I'm no huge fan of Margaret Thatcher, but like, if you're comparing to former female statesmen in England, then did Margaret Thatcher after Falklands? During that, at any point did she start weeping on the world stage?
One. On the day that she left, her eyes were moist.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah,
her eyes were starry. On that day, but she.
Yeah, but during the big important stuff, did she go when she was addressing Argentina or something? Did she break down crying?
No.
Would that have been great for the war effort?
No.
And even when she did get misjudged, that was only a paparazzi caught that through the back of a car window.
Yes.
She wasn't like giving a press conference.
No.
I'm trying to remember. Did Liz Truss even cry?
No, Theresa May did though.
Oh yeah, in the back of the car. Yeah.
When Theresa May resigned, she came out and had a little cry, didn't she?
Yes. The girls can do these jobs too, you see. Reuters have got some reaction from bond traders. Again, these are the people who are funding the UK government. The UK government cannot meet its monthly obligations without the bond market. So it does kind of matter. So I might pick out a few bits of this. This guy's saying the welfare U-turn is a signal that the Labour Party is a lot less concerned about what the gilt market thinks. Well, and they're the ones that are, borrowing the money from. I continue to view it as if you breached your own commitments, it sets fire to your credibility in a world where there's increasing focus on the solvency of government. Yeah, he's saying, we're lending them all this money. We're increasingly worried that we're not going to get it back. So you need to project confidence that we're actually going to get our money back. Otherwise, we're not going to lend you any money, and then the whole thing falls apart. I mean, it would have to. I mean, if the bond market just said, "Yeah, no, we're not doing this anymore," it would have to be rapid, wholesale cuts. I mean, it would be, welfare's just turned off tomorrow, pensions turned off tomorrow, in order to sort of meet this.
Be like Honorius's letter to the British legions.
Yes.
Sorry, we're rolling back all government.
Yes.
And all security, and from like now.
Yes.
So good luck.
Well, I suppose if they did that though, it'd be an excellent test case on how strong our diversity really is. Because you switch off the tap for them, the thing that's keeping them happy is their bread and circuses.
Yes.
Making sure they've got all their halal meat stocked.
Yes.
How are they going to react to all of it?
There might be some undocumented shopping that takes place. Afterwards.
En masse.
So mostly peaceful shopping.
This quote here: the Bank of England is obviously reviewing quantitative tightening, which is basically after they printed all that money in 2020, they're now going through the performance of unprinting some of the money, and will probably bring an end to asset sales in the autumn. What he's basically saying is the government's going to have to start printing money again by autumn, because it can't get the money otherwise. So we're going to go back to printing money,
and that'll be a slippery slope to hyperinflation and the next massive collapse.
Yeah,
I mean, all they'll be able to do is inflate the money, inflate it. There's nothing else to do.
And we already saw that after 2020. I mean, everyone noticed that from about say now to say 2019. I bet everybody's felt that their shopping bill has basically doubled. The amount you spend on your weekly shop.
I feel like this might age badly, this take, but I feel like in the future, in the next 10 to 20 years, we might get hyperinflation in this country or America, in the United States.
I mean, hyperinflation has a specific meaning which is really extreme, but
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But I still think it might get there, where they just keep quantitative easing, trying to print their way out of the problem.
I mean, certainly,
And it
certainly
doesn't work. It won't work. It's never worked.
You could see a sustained period of 15, 20, maybe even 30, 40% year after year, which will be absolutely ruinous for your costs and your weekly shop on the
But it can fall off a cliff and then suddenly just be thousands of percent a week.
I mean, if it did get to that, I'd be very interested because, like, the hyperinflation that I've read about in the past has been like, you go into a restaurant, by the time you've finished your meal, it's more expensive than when you got in there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that would be
Yes.
would be disastrous.
I mean, it probably wouldn't get quite that bad, but just 20% a year is utterly ruinous for a nation. I won't go through more quotes, but the effect on bond yields, because when basically what happened, and I didn't go through the rest of those quotes, but to cut a long story short, one of the things they're most worried about is that she gets replaced. And this is not because they think that she's a good chancellor, is that they think that every other option is probably worse. You know, can you imagine who's that? Oh, the ginger one.
Angela Rayner?
Yeah, she could be chancellor, or David Lammy or something, or any one of the other socialists. So the bond market is like, she's a goner.
I don't know. Have we ever given Chav economics a go?
No, yeah. Well, and look at this chart. Let me just translate this chart for you. That's an extra 2 billion in funding the debt, short term, and if it persists, it's an extra 5 billion in servicing the debt. That little movement. So it doesn't look like much, but this is bonds, not stock. So a movement like that is actually fairly meaningful. I'm going to pick up an article by Ray Dalio. He is one of the greatest investors of our age, and he's written some very good books, which I talked about on Brokenomics, which are worth reading. Now, there's one bit of this that I want to pull out, which is here we go. The Labour government that came to power in July 2024 and launched its first budget, blah, 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 is in danger of spending more and more on debt servicing costs with a damaging effect on the rest of the economy. Dalio said that this malaise leaves the government with three options: borrow more, cut spending, or hike taxes. Now, I'll tell you why you can't do two of those. Borrowing more is because it's not within your option. The bond market says, no, we're not lending it, and it doesn't get lent. Cut spending, I mean, that is the only real option out of all of this. However, that's the one that they ruled out, and they just ruled out yesterday with their U-turns. So that is the only one that you can actually do, but it's the only one that they won't do. And the last one, which they can't do, but they will try to do, is hike taxes. The reason you can't do that is because each country basically has a kind of natural ceiling for taxation. In the UK, it's about 30-something, maybe 37% if I had to put a number on it. And we're all basically already past that. And what happens
Isn't the upper tax bracket 45% here?
No, as in total share of national income that you can gain in taxes. And the reason it's set to that is because if you push it beyond that level, you get all these feedback mechanisms, such as rich people leaving the country, people just working less, people not bothering taking a promotion or changing a job if it means, an extra 20 minutes of travel in the morning, or people basically going to the black economy. There are a whole number of mechanisms that stop, and the UK government has never been able to get past about that 37%. It just doesn't work. So once you're at that level, tax rises actually decrease your tax take. Because rich people quit or people stop working or whatever it is. And we are already at that limit.
Well, we've already had people leaving the country, like rich people leaving the country, taking their business
tens of thousands. Tens of thousands. And more are considering it all the time because it's just not worth staying here. So they will try and raise taxes, but it will not work. So they have to cut spending, which the Labour government, they're never going to do that.
And all the time flooding us with 1 million more people a year.
Yeah, yes. Which need to be paid for as well. I mean, Stephen makes the point here with the video. I mean, I won't play the video in the interest of time, but when Reeves started crying, and you can see it on the chart quite clearly, the market reacted. That's what they were reacting to. They were reacting to the weakness that they should have seen. And I'll just point out that Keir Starmer came out and basically said that she's doing an excellent job as Chancellor, fantastic job. She and I will work together and think together. So my reaction is that will gone in a month then.
Yeah, where's the results? If she's doing a great job, you'd see positive results.
I even tried to go on Betfair to see if I could place a bet on her being gone in a month, but I couldn't find that option. So, but yeah, no. Rachel Reeves absolutely ballsing it up yet again, making a complete mess of it, and as usual, it's costing you. She's not crying for you that she's making life more difficult. She's crying for herself, of course.
If you would like to watch the full uncut version that is also uncensored, head on over to lotuseaters.com to find out more.